When someone disrespects you, they're testing your boundaries to see if you'll crack. Most people make the fatal mistake of getting emotional or staying quiet out of fear. Dark psychology reveals that the most powerful response requires zero anger, just a single tactical shift. Here's the first technique to neutralize disrespect instantly. Topic 1. The strategic pause and the forehead glare, refusing the emotional bait. Right. The real truth about disrespect is that it works like a disguised boundary test. When someone cracks a nasty little joke or tries to belittle you in a meeting, the attacker's main goal is to watch you lose control or shrink away embarrassed, instead of falling into that trap and firing back straight away with anger. The secret of dark psychology is to trigger a 3-second strategic pause and fix your gaze on the center of the person's forehead. That heavy, calculated silence creates a break in the aggressor's psychological expectations, making them start doubting their own attitude while the awkwardness fills the room. That simple shift in attitude reflects true mastery of emotional intelligence and personal power in moments of crisis. To dig deeper into this kind of mental control and strategic coolness, have a read of the classic How to Connect in Business in 90 Seconds or Less by Nicholas Boothman, and the brilliant The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene, which show how absolute self-control leaves any provocateur completely thrown off. When you stare fixedly at the forehead of someone who tried to put you down and keep a totally neutral expression, you send a subliminal message that their opinion is irrelevant, making them feel tiny without you having to say a single word. By refusing the emotional bait with that surgical silence, you flip the power game in your favor without firing a single verbal shot. The attacker, who is expecting an argument or a half-baked excuse, gets stuck in their own anxiety, not knowing what to do next. And it's in exactly that moment of hesitation that the second tactic kicks in to finish disarming their sarcasm for good. Topic 2. The clarification trap, exposing the mask of passive aggression. In the corporate world or at social gatherings here in the UK, disrespect rarely shows up as a direct attack. It almost always wears the mask of sarcasm or a nasty little joke. The biggest mistake when faced with this sly provocation is to laugh along to avoid an awkward vibe, or to fire back with another dig. The clarification trap involves looking the person straight in the eye and asking, in a calm, curious voice, for them to explain exactly what the joke meant. By saying something like, "Sorry, I didn't quite get that, can you explain what you meant?" you force the attacker to rationalize their own poison in front of everyone. Top experts in assertive communication and interpersonal intelligence show that asking someone to break down their own irony instantly kills the joke and exposes how rotten the comment really was. The excellent book Nonviolent Communication by Marshall Rosenberg is a great example of how to disarm hostility without losing your composure, and without stooping to the attacker's level. When the provocateur tries to argue their way out, or realizes they'll have to explain a prejudice or a jab in public, the tables turn and the joke becomes their own cowardice. That simple clarifying question strips away any mask of superiority and forces the other person to back down immediately to avoid an even bigger embarrassment. You don't lose your cool, you don't justify yourself, and yet it's crystal clear to everyone in the room that nobody gets to cross your red lines. Still, disarming the attacker's words is only the first step, because how your voice carries across the room is what really cements your ultimate control over the situation. Topic 3. Unshakable vocal framing, mastering the low-pitch neutrality. Now, here's the thing, it's no use asking the right question if your voice shakes or goes up a pitch during the confrontation. When a verbal attack happens, the body's natural instinct is to fire up adrenaline, which messes with your breathing and leaves your voice thin and flustered, signaling weakness to the attacker. Mastering tactical vocal framing means breathing deeply from the diaphragm and responding in a low, steady, unhurried tone. By delivering your words at a firm pace with a neutral tone, you show a level of emotional coolness that unsettles anyone expecting to see you rattled or upset. The legendary voice and executive presence coach Roger Love, in his renowned book Set Your Voice Free, explains in detail how controlling tone and vocal resonance establishes instant authority in high-tension moments. In real everyday situations, responding to a veiled attack with short lines like "Right, noted, let's get back to the main point," delivered in a calm, deep voice, simply wipes out the impact of the provocation. That mature vocal posture shows you're the grown-up in the room, and that childish intimidation attempts have zero effect on your mindset. Keeping that vocal calibration under pressure builds a shield of power that makes any would-be provocateur think twice before trying anything like that again. The person realizes that trying to put you down is shooting themselves in the foot, since it only highlights their own lack of control against your unshakable self-mastery, and it's precisely that reputation for cool authority that builds the ultimate barrier protecting your dignity and social standing for good. Topic 4. The power boundary, turning attacks into permanent status. The plain truth is that setting firm boundaries isn't just about winning one argument in the moment, it's about shaping how the world treats you from that day forward. When you respond with surgical silence, demand clarity from provocations, and keep an unshakable tone of voice, you set a clear social precedent. Disrespecting you comes at a steep price. As the master of persuasion Robert Cialdini teaches in his classic Influence, people tend to respect and defer to those who show consistent authority and refuse to play the helpless victim in power dynamics. This positioning shapes your reputation for good, both in business and in your friendships and personal relationships. Once people see that attempts at mockery or intimidation only result in public embarrassment for the attacker themselves, those around you start thinking twice before stepping over your red lines. This mature, confident posture creates an invisible shield around you, ensuring your presence is respected and your voice heard with the seriousness you truly deserve in any setting. Once you finally understand how to turn the psychological tables in your favor, other people's disrespect stops being an emotional wound and becomes a chance to reassert your strength. This mindset shift is the master key to no longer being manipulated and taking full control of your social interactions. With all these tactics perfectly lined up in your arsenal, we're ready to wrap up our journey and lock in this lesson for good. Conclusion: carrying on accepting disrespect, nasty jokes and sly digs as if they were just inevitable is the perfect recipe for staying a doormat in your day-to-day interactions. You weren't made to swallow other people's provocations, nor to lie awake at night stewing over what you should have said in the moment. The dark psychology of power isn't about picking unnecessary fights, it's about building a presence so solid and strategically calculated that nobody ever dares try to put you down again. Why keep feeling small and vulnerable around aggressive or sarcastic people in the city of London or in any workplace, when you now hold the keys to disarming any attack in 3 seconds flat? I'll leave you with a straight-up question to chew on. If you keep reacting to provocations exactly the same passive, emotional way you always have, what kind of respect do you expect to be getting from people a year from now? Are you going to keep being the easy target for petty jibes and abuses of authority? Or are you finally ready to look provocateurs dead in the eye with an unshakable stare and take the reins of your own social destiny? People who dominate a room don't win by shouting loudest, they win by keeping total control of their mind, demanding clarity, and using tactical silence like a sharp blade. The decision to stop putting up with disrespect is entirely yours, but remember, the value the world gives you is exactly the value you demand from it. If you're determined never to play the victim again, want to keep sharpening your assertive communication skills, and fancy mastering the most advanced tactics in human psychology, subscribe to the channel right now and switch on all notifications. By joining our community today, you'll make sure you never miss any of our practical guides on unshakable posture, emotional intelligence, and social power dynamics. Don't let this lesson slip away. Put the tactical pause rule into practice at your very first chance today. Protect your boundaries, and we'll see you in the next video.